that stereo.
Give me a little bit. Here we go. Homecoming, baby. What's up, y'all? What's up, Lincoln Lions, baby? It's homecoming weekend. Lincoln Lions, baby. Come on. Aww. What's up? What's up? Funky Friday. Come on, y'all. Wake up this morning. It's the Funky Friday show. Peace to the morning, baby. With Darius Stanton live right here at VoxWave.com. That's right. We're coming at you live. We're coming at you funky. Come on, Trouble. Say what, y'all? It's Funky Friday, baby. Come on now. That's right. Y'all know what time it is. Come on, get up. We got a lot to talk about today. That's right. I thought your boy want to make America great. Come on, what's his name? What you doing in that Oval Office? What you doing in that Oval Office yesterday, boy? Jim Clown, you had Jim Clown up in there. God bless him. Lord, here we go. Come on, y'all. Oh, don't touch that stereo. Don't touch that stereo. A Funky Friday. A Funky Friday. Hey, what's up, Bowie State? We got any Bowie States out there? What's up, Bowie? Got the Bulldogs in the house. Oh! Bowie State, homecoming, 2018. Better be there. What's up, Reggie Brody, David Grogan? Come on, Funky Friday, we ready? Crank it up, y'all. You better share this show. Come on. Come on, y'all. It's homecoming weekend. The first historically black college and university degree grant in the United States of America. Yours truly, alma mater, 1854, the Lincoln University. Say what? That's right, Lincoln homecoming this weekend, baby. Yeah. The home of Thurgood Marshall, Supreme Court Justice, the first black Supreme Court Justice. Thurgood Marshall came from the Lincoln University. Kwame Ture, that's right, freedom fighter, liberator, the Lincoln University. And the poet himself, Langston Hughes. That's right, poet laureate, Langston Hughes.
Like the man with the super S on his cape, we gonna jump through the funk like we got no break. I'm DJ Rock and I can pass the test to get down with the rappers from the east to west. This party, please. That
come on, y'all, Funky Friday, baby. Come on, y'all know what time it is. Hey, stick with us. We got something for you.
Somebody say, get up, get up. Somebody say, get up, get up. You party good, you throwing down.
What's up, y'all? Hey, Bowie State University homecoming. The Bulldogs. Used to be a teaching school, now they're teaching everything. Come on, y'all.
you tonight. I say downtown shopping with some fashions in mind. Just listen here closely while I tell you my line.
Class of 88, 1988, 30-year class of union. A high in the house, talking about them running Panthers, y'all.
But Calvin Klein seems to come through until East Sailor in walks in the GQ. But that's not it, they still want more. So I send them down to Studio 54. Say Jordache, more show the C and Sassoons. I've got the jeans that make you Then you smile and you smile from mile to mile.
Hey, put your hand up if you, hey, hit me out if you can get your Jordache.
But all we want to see is your body work. Work your body, work your body, work your body.
All the way.
Work your body, work your body, work your body.
Work your body. Homecoming weekend. Pump it up now. Hey, we rolling right here at the Peace in the Morning Show. It's Funky Friday, baby. Live right here at VoxWave.com. Hit me on Facebook Live if you want to link up. We got a lot to talk about. Definitely got to talk about yesterday in the Oval Office. Oh my God. Did you see that? If you haven't seen it, get your popcorn, get your tears, and get ready to fall out laughing. Because it was one of the saddest days, but it just shows you how far we've come and how far we have to go. Oh my God. That's right. But we partying this weekend. Homecoming. Kick it. Whoa, hey, hey, hey.
So what? Now, break it on down, y'all.
Break it on down.
That's the way we groove.
Right, that's what we do on a Funky Friday, baby. You know it's time to work it out, baby. Work it out. That's right, Funky Friday, baby. The Peace in the Morning Show. We need that energy. Come on, y'all. Woo-wee. Hey, Heartbeat. What's up, Heartbeat? Heartbeat Congo Al. Foxy Brown. What's up, Foxy? Hey, Go-Go Toy. Rolo. Shorty Mark. Hey, Funk. Buzz. That's right. Hey, we ready to go crank it up. Take it to the desk so we can give you the rest of the Peace in the Morning Show with Darius Stanton. It's Funky Friday. You know how we do. Hey, I'm going to just let this play while I switch scenes. Because you know I love that drop the bomb. But we got to go to work. morning. Keep it cranking. We're going to rock this joint for a minute. Ow. That's right. We cranking this morning on the Funky Friday in the morning. Peace in the Morning show, baby. We live right here at boxwave.com. Doing it well. Oh, man. Woo. I tell you, I'm just grateful this morning. I want to give thanks and praise. I want to shout out somebody, 2 people this morning. Before we get started, 3 people. Well, let me cut the list short. But I want to, first of all, omnipresent. First, we got to give honor and praises to God. Just straight up. Look in the mirror and thank God because he is in us. He is with us. He is through us. It is the I am. And, we got to pay homage, to the good Lord for his goodness and his mercy. And, we are just so blessed. Now, that's the first. But then after that, I want to thank my wife for being just so wonderful and supportive and loving. And just for 30 years, we've been rolling for 30 years. And that's a long time. 30 years. So I got to give my hat, my arm, my left leg, everything. You got it. So I appreciate you, love you much. Now, number 2, I got to thank this brother because this brother was the one who said, you know what? You ought to do a daily morning show. A daily morning show. And I said, morning? I said, I thought about doing a morning show. And fortunately, God has blessed us to be in a position to be able to do that. So, Rolling Bubba Grimes, shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much for the opportunity, for the promotion, the support, the time, the patience, the energy you poured into the Peace in the Morning show with Darius Stanton. Thank you so much, brother. And now, without further ado, the brother that you only hear crank that trouble for me in the background. You hear me mention his name, but I got to give it up for Brother Ron Johnson, the engineer extraordinaire, just all around good brother. Thank you so much, man, for your support and really just making sure that the Peace in the Morning show comes off, as funky as it's supposed to be. All day long at the Kunta Kinte Festival, in the sun, don't matter, we just rolling with it. So shout out to my good brother, Ron Johnson, the man himself. You seen him just roll through. Yeah, that's right, Funky Friday. So look, we got a lot to talk about this morning. And I would be remiss because it's fresh on my mind. First of all, register to vote. If you didn't learn anything from the interview yesterday that took place in the Oval Office, I will not be mentioning anybody in that room's full name. I will only use initials. I won't be using any full names because I will not be promoting their brand, okay, period. So I'll be saying JB, DT, and Linda should have been in there yesterday. The little brother, the little Latino brother that said, Linda, you know the one. What? No, hold up. You listen, Linda. Somebody should have been, you listen, KW, because it was completely and utterly embarrassing, yet not surprising. It was not surprising at all, to see that. But we're going to talk about that, because I kept replaying it. It was amazing, that somebody would put themselves in that position. But the other thing that it really displayed, and I want you to really understand, the significance of this. So number one, what yesterday showed you is how important it is for you to go register to vote. Some states have closed registering to vote yesterday, and some are closing today. But wherever you are in the United States of America, make sure you can vote. Make sure you got your IDs with you. Don't let anything stop you from going to the polls on that day and voting for people that really care about people, regardless of the party. But it must be known right now, you see what happened with Kavanaugh and how women were and men who've been abused have been disrespected, were disrespected. And he even apologized for that man going through what he went through. You going to the highest court in the land, so you got to go under scrutiny. And he apologized to him for that. Really just, excuse my expression, trampling on and spitting in the face of all of the women and men and the children in America that have been abused. That's unacceptable. And he apologized to him on behalf of the United States government. He apologized to Kavanaugh for him having to go through that hearing. Okay? Go register to vote. That's number one. But number two, it also showed how deep mental health illness is rampant in our society, and in particular in our community among African American men. We saw one of the greatest displays of mental health breakdowns. And, you know, even in his strategy, because in his mind, KW believes that he is actually doing something to promote himself and his brand, and also, oh, by the way, in a slice, kind of like helping his people. He really believes that. But the reality is, you know how many people like really worship that dude? KW, they like worship him. They think he was one of the greatest hip hop artists of all times. Some people, he is there, for millions of people, he is their favorite rapper. And he went on national television. So mental health, because we're going to get into that, but mental health, you know, the reason why it's so important for us to check our mental health state. This is also Domestic Violence Month. Our third topic of the day is Domestic Violence Month. And we need to recognize what happened to us as children. I need you to share this. You know, I want you to make sure if you're on Facebook Live watching it, if you watch it from YouTube on www.voxwave.com, or if you watch it on YouTube at VoxWave's channel, I need you to share this link, copy it, paste it, share this, because I want people to understand how important it is to seek mental health treatment. I cannot impress upon you. Share this, you know, because where I'm about to tell people and what we're about to get into with regard to mental health in our community is critical. And I need people to see it. I need people to share it. I need people to understand it. I need people to do something about it. I don't need people to just talk about it on Facebook. I don't need people to just tweet about it. I don't need people to just social media it all day long. Get up and do something. Do something. I don't need you to keep just typing about it and talking about it. I need you to get up and do something about it. I don't need you to keep doing that. Just wasting your time talking. Make some sacrifices. Make some sacrifices. Our children are dying. Our children are being raped. Our children are being used for body parts. Our children are being cut up and used for all kinds of things. Our children are being used to run around and shot like game. I need you to do something about it. So I need you to share this, because what I'm going to talk about in 2 minutes, it is now, the tone of time will be 9:32. And in 2 minutes, our 9:34, we're going to get into this whole piece on mental health, because it is critical. So I need you to share it, because we're going to come into it, we're going to hit it hard. All right? And we need to be able to you just bear with me, share with me, and we'll take you to another level in terms of how we have to address this situation with our mental health. But the last piece that we're going to cover today is on a much more happier, hippier, happier hop note, and that is homecoming of the first 1854, the Lincoln University alumni. It was an all-male, black male college. Now, Cheney University is the first black college. So let me just put that out there. It's always a question, is it Cheney, is it Lincoln? That's right. In one more minute, we're going to go into the mental health piece. So make sure you share this. Make sure you push this out there, because we're going to deal with the mental health issue with regard to our community. Lincoln University was the first grant degree, and Cheney was the first black college. So shout out to Cheney University in Pennsylvania. If you're a Cheney alum, They need your help. They need your intellectual capital. They need your human capital. And they need your financial capital. They need your resources right now. The first historically black college needs your support. The first black degree granting college is the Lincoln University, home of Thurgood Marshall, first Supreme Court Justice, home of Kwame Ture, liberation, African, Pan-Africanist, and home of the great poet laureate Langston Hughes, and yours truly, Darius A. Stanton, also from a Lincoln University graduate. I want to thank Cecil C. Burton, Carl Snowden, Bertina Nick, Carl Snowden, Bertina Nick, Cecil C. Burton, James Chase. Those folks wrote me letters to get me in college at a master's degree without a bachelor's at 19 years old. 20 years old. I was 20 years old. They got me to go to school at 20 to work on my master's without a bachelor's. That's how far advanced they thought I was, but that's how much support they were putting into young people. They were promoting succession. It wasn't about them. They were working to help other people get up. Okay, it's 9:34, and I asked you to share this piece of the show because I want people to understand the importance of this. Our mental health. Yesterday, KW, I'm not saying his name because I don't want to promote the brand. I just want us to understand the dynamic of it because that's part of that's the number one reason why they did it, except for JB. He said he was there to serve. But KW and JB, a legendary figure, the person who actually, this brother, I'm going to say his name because he didn't go there for promotion. He just went there to serve, like he said. Jim Brown was the reason why free agency, sports agency, contracts, free agency even exists in professional sports is because of Jim Brown. Jim Brown was the first one to go and start the whole process of being a free agent, all of those things. He revolutionized sports and professional athletes and the way that they're compensated. He took a stand. He stood with Muhammad Ali in the face of ridicule, threats. You know, at that time, they come get you, hang you up, string you up, put you on a tree, you never see you again, you know, and he took that stand. But yesterday, he and KW went to the Oval Office to see the president, and he admitted that, at first he admitted that he was bipolar, and then after he said he was bipolar, he came back and said, I was diagnosed with sleep deprivation. But what he said, if you go back and, you know, shout out to Roland Martin. Roland Martin has a new show. I believe it's Roland Martin Unhinged or Unplugged. But whatever it is, Jonathan Pope, thanks for sharing it with me. Roland Martin broke it down, all the way down, different parts of what he was saying. And KW actually told people that it's nothing wrong, you know, with making America great again, because again, it's now. And he said it was now, and what we went through, yeah, it was something. He didn't even say slavery. He wouldn't even say the word slavery. But he wouldn't say the word slavery because he didn't want to offend or ruffle the feathers of his brother that he went and got up and gave a kiss to and told him that he loved him. And the same person, the president, just left Chicago in front of a crowd of people saying that stop and frisk, which is when the police come up, frisk you, stop you, and, by the way, kiss you on the cheek in some instances. That's what they were doing in New York. You know, that whole rape culture, prevalent throughout the United States and the world. And stop and frisk has been deemed illegal, unconstitutional by the courts. And he said it should be not only in Chicago, but throughout the entire country. And Kanye said he wanted to come to talk about freeing black people from slavery, the 13th Amendment. Yet the president, he just finished making a speech talking about how Chicago and stop and frisk should be all over the country. So he played him. And the brother he just melted. He went from one subject to another. You know, it was a very sad display. But the reason why I want us to understand our mental health state and why it's so important for us to address it is because so many of us were abused as children. So many of us abused because we were abused.
So we'd have somebody abuse us, and then because we were abused and didn't know what was going on, we went and replicated that behavior. And when we went to replicate that behavior, we went and abused somebody else. And that cycle of rape and abuse just continues to go on and on and on, and it's so prevalent. And after watching the president, how could you go sit there and have respect for a man who said that he grabs women by the crotch and can do whatever he wants to do to them because he has money? And you go sit with him with respect. Now, that none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. But the blatant, formal disrespect that you promote. And so our mental health is in such a sad state that you could see somebody with all that money and all that opportunity, all that access, go before the world and do that. But if we don't break this cycle and go get mental health help, if we don't identify and go get counseling for ourselves first, if we don't go encourage people that we know were abused or that we witnessed and seen the abuse take place, we are going to continue to go in a downward spiral. Because this culture of rape in our society and abuse and neglect is so prevalent that it's not only accepted, but it's promoted at the highest office of the land. And we got to break that. And we can't keep just allowing it to go on. Children are just coming to school this morning after being raped and molested last night. That's happening right now. There are children in school right now sitting in front of a teacher. There are people at work. I mean, this is going on. Adult men are talking about how they have other men who are raping them and using that, blackmailing them and holding it over their heads and making them afraid, so they are still being abused, sexually abused as adults. You got men in the military that are being raped by their superiors. Don't just take it from me. Look it up. You had over 1,000 people, 1,000 cases of students, primarily white, but and black, in Pennsylvania that were raped by the priests and nuns that were sexually assaulted. Right here in the United States of America, in Pennsylvania, over 1,000, and nobody, where's the outrage? These people are living with this every day. But the only way that we can break that is for people to unpack it, to let that off, to deal with it, to assess it, to free themselves mentally and spiritually. Because not only are we people sexually abusing, but they're also physically abusing. Beating women with their bare hands, men beating women, smacking women. You don't know what people are dealing with. You have no idea the lives that some people are leading and what they have to get up and deal with every day just to survive. They live in nights of terror in their own homes. They're terrorized. They can't eat. They can't sleep. They don't know when somebody's coming into their bedroom. Stop letting your children go over to somebody else's house and you don't know who the people are. Stop just sending your children and packing them up just so you can have a free weekend. Yeah, you may work hard. Yeah, the father might not be involved. Yeah, the mother-in-law, the other side of the family not supporting you. It may be a struggle, but stop giving your children to somebody else to molest and abuse and neglect. Stop doing that. We got to take this mental health piece serious. We got to take the domestic violence serious. We got to take this abusive culture that would promote a man named Roy Moore in the South that they knew had abused this woman. And they supported it from the highest office of the land. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And anybody who goes for it, they got a problem. There's no political party, all of that, forget that. But if we keep on accepting this rape culture, this abusive culture that is in African communities, European communities, Asian communities, all over the world, Latino communities, children are being sex trafficked. There in Las Vegas, there are bathrooms. When you close the door in some of the Las Vegas rooms, hotel, if you're being sex trafficked, call this number. That's happening right now. Children are being snatched up right now. Shout out to Henderson Long in Washington, D.C. Look up his Facebook page. Send him a note. Let him know that the Peace in the Morning show supports the work he's doing. Every day, this brother is working to find and unite missing children and missing people in the District of Columbia and Prince George's County. Every day, Henderson Long is doing that. Shout out to the brother. But I want us to focus on our mental health because we are in a society that promotes this sickness and it's controlling us. And you watched it on full display in the White House. So here it is. Number one, seek mental health counseling for yourself. Number two, encourage your family members to seek mental health counseling because you never know what they've been through that they didn't share with you. You don't know who's been hurt, and they just have never brought it out. They never shared it. When the woman testified before Congress or the Senate in Kavanaugh's hearing, that day was the highest amount of calls to the sexual assault crisis line ever, because so many people saw the images of being raped or abused or neglected by men, women, family members, and it all came up. Because we pack those things away in our mind and because we don't want to deal with it, we don't want to see it. But it exhibits in our behavior, it comes out in our behavior. What you see coming out in Donald and DT is abuse. He was trained in abuse. It's abuse, it's neglect. He was trained in it. He had to be raised in it. How else could you become that kind of a person? What you saw in KW yesterday was abuse and neglect. What you saw in GB was abuse and neglect. He was an abuser. He used to beat women. So where did he see that? Where did he get that from? So we've got to address that head on. We can't just keep turning around. We can't keep just pushing it by. We got to address it head on. We got to accept it. What happened to us? What have we done? How do we stop it? How do we deal with ourselves first? And then how do we move on? How do we move on? So please, by all means, encourage your family to get mental health support. Do it yourself. Go to your friends. Talk to your children. Make sure they get counseling. Regardless, you don't know what's happened. You don't know what happened at school. You don't know what happened at practice. You don't know what happened at camp. You don't know what happened at the field trip. You don't know what happened in your own home. You don't know. You don't know. None of us do. But you can rest assured the culture that we live in, it is so pervasive. The rape culture, the abuse culture is so pervasive that it is impacting us at the highest levels of our government, of our education system. There is a study, right? Go look it up. Look it up right now. In New England, the private schools in New England, throughout Connecticut, in Massachusetts, in that part of the country, those a lot of those boarding schools have cases, histories of abuse, sexual abuse, and neglect that they were doing to those children, those students, that it was known. You've got to address that. We cannot continue to let that happen. We cannot continue to allow rape in jail, sexual abuse in jail. People are watching that show, Orange is the New Black. First and foremost, understand this. In the last 20 years, over 700% of an increase in the amount of African-American women that have been incarcerated. In the last 20 years, the incarceration rate of African-American women has increased over 700%. That means you're taking, in so many instances, they're in jail for, like others, petty crimes, marijuana, which is now legal. You know, medical marijuana is now legal. And in some states, it's legal to smoke marijuana. D.C. is not a state, but District of Columbia, Colorado, excuse me. And so we've got to address the numbers of people that are going to jail and being sexually abused. And then after they're sexually abused in jail, you know, in those women's cases, they were being abused and they finally stood up to their abuser. And after they stood up to their abuser and either wounded them, shot them, or killed them, whatever they had to do to protect themselves, they got arrested and locked up and in jail. When you look at the amount of incarceration and the way people are living and the fact that they're being paid, the government is being paid. Do you know that right now in the state of Maryland, there are spaces where women don't have pads? They don't have the appropriate materials to take care of their cycles, their menstrual cycles. They're using toilet paper. They're using whatever they can use. They only get, my understanding, 4 rolls of toilet paper per month. And you may not even have that if somebody take it from you, or you got to sell it to eat, buy some food, or whatever else you got to do to make it in there. This is the way that, you know, and we're paying for this. They're not going there and it's for free. We're paying for them to do something that the services, they're not human services. We're not talking about television and cable and all that. We're talking about basic necessities to live as a human being that is going to return back to our society. So men are raping men in jail. They're being raped in jail. And then the man who was raped is going back home, and the man who is the rapist is going back home and living in the house now with your child. And you let that man come back into your home. And then at the same time, we're doing everything we can to sell as much drugs as we can, to have as many cars and have as many girls and to have as many rings and jewelry and whatever else, just to go to jail and become part of that system to come out and have that effect. Even if you didn't rape anybody, even if you weren't raped, but the fact that you were there and you heard it, that you watched it, that you listened to it, that you knew it take place is trauma in itself. It's sick in itself. It's not natural. It's a sickness, and we letting it go, and we doing it like it's that, you know, that it's okay. And people say, well, they committed a crime, so that's what they deserve. What about the people who've been found now, like the cop that's down in which state is this? The chief of police, who has now been pleaded guilty to falsifying records and making false arrests and locking people up, said he solved 100% of the burglaries in his town. And as a result of that, he went and locked people up that weren't even guilty. Just pulled them up off the street, locked them up. What about the people in Baltimore City where they planted guns on them and they went to jail and did time for guns that were planted on them by the police? And now they're in jail listening to this and being a part of that, and that's okay? So we got some real work to do. We got some real work to do. We got to deal with these issues of abuse, neglect, and it starts with us getting the mental health so we can address it because we think it's okay because it was done to us. It's a part of our society, or we don't feel like we can do anything because somebody came into your room every night and molested you, because somebody came into your room every night and abused you, because you knew it was happening to your sister or your brother. Do you know how many women are trading not themselves for sex, but their children? You know how many women are actually, you know how many men are actually going to women and asking them, no, I don't want to have sex with you. I want your daughter. I want your son. And the mother sends the son and the daughter in the room to be molested by a man or a woman. That is happening today. That is real right now in the United States of America right now. And so the abuse and the neglect and the terror that you witnessed come out yesterday was a bifurcation, was a result of neglect and abuse at its highest form, and you watched it in the Oval Office yesterday. So I want us to understand how serious this is. I want us to understand how dangerous this is and how prevalent it is and how we must take a stand. As I said, at the top of the show, talking about it, tweeting about it, Facebooking it, that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. We've got to take some action. We have to act. We have to act. On November 9th, check out my page, or go to the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus page. On November 9th, there's a conference taking place in Annapolis, Maryland. The 2018 Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland is hosting a conference, 2018, on November the 9th in Annapolis, Maryland at the State House, focused on issues that we're talking about today: trauma, health, housing. We've got to be able to address these issues, and we've got to do it. And so on November the 9th, come on out and support us. Look it up on Maryland Legislative Black Caucus website, or go to Eventbrite and register. There are over 300 people already registered for November 9th's event, so you want to be there. Also, another opportunity for you to be involved and get engaged and voice, what's taking place. This coming Sunday is the historic anniversary of, and I say this with pride and joy, it brings bumbles to my arms when I think about it. I get all juiced up. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. This coming Sunday is the historic anniversary of the Million Man March. The Million Man March. Now, you may not have been there, and if you were there, shout it out, give me some clicks, some hearts, whatever. But the Million Man March, the first one, was the most powerful event in America that impacted us, because the spirit and that energy in that space that was on those grounds of the Capitol was so powerful. When you had all of those black men loving each other, giving the support, young, old. There were sisters there too, but it was nothing but love all day long. Over 1 million black men united. So we got to give credit to Minister Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, for bringing all those brothers together, but all of the people that poured in and supported and continued. It did so much for so many people, because it allowed us to believe in ourselves again. Much like Black Panther, the movie, when we got a chance to see ourselves on full display. So I want us to make sure that we focus in and we take time out to address this mental health issue, and make sure that in our communities, in our churches, it's going to be a lot of pain. A lot of things are going to come out of it. It's going to hurt us, but we need to heal. We need to heal. We need to heal. We are hurting, and you saw it on display. We are hurting. We are hurting. And anytime, an iconic figure, a hip-hop icon like KW could go to the Oval Office and excuse the behavior of the police like he did, he actually said, I know the police and the killing, that's bad, but we kill ourselves too. He said, but the police, they're enforcers, they have to enforce law, and we shouldn't have to make us do. What? There are people killing us. There's a white police officer that pulled a white woman over on the side of the road who said, yeah, we kill them. She was like, I'm scared to reach. He said, just show me a license. He said, no, it's in the floor. He said, well, just hand it to me. She said, no, because we see how you on TV, how you killing people. The police is killing people. He said, oh, no, we only do that to black people. We only kill black people. You've seen the video. You watched the videos. That came out of his mouth in his uniform on duty. It wasn't on the radio. It wasn't at a club. It wasn't at a church. It wasn't at a Klan rally. It was on his job as a police officer telling somebody, we kill them. Only black people. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's not, we don't like white people. We don't like the police. It's not none of that. It is what it is. He said that. He said that. And we are living in that. And for him to go to the Oval Office and act like that's not an issue and only address the fact that black people kill black people, we know that. But when the president was running for office, he said he was going to go to Chicago and stop that. He said he was going to Chicago and stop it. Did he stop it? Has he done anything to address the killing in black communities? He said he was going to stop the incarceration. 3 strikes you're out was what he promoted that the Clintons did, which they did. And he said it was terrible, but he was going to do something about it. But all he did was tell his attorney general to go back to the old sentencing guidelines before President Obama changed them and reduced them, go back to the old guidelines and give people the time that they deserve, these criminals the time that they deserve. And he told the attorney general to roll back the monitoring and the evaluation of police departments who have been seen and cited as racist. It's fact. And you go sit with the man and go give him a hug and a kiss. It's mentally disturbed. Hey, hit me up. You know, we about to roll out of here. It's Funky Friday. Yeah, we got a little deep. It's homecoming. You know, BSU, any Bowie State University folks in the house. Any Bowie State U. What's up, Troy Jones? I know you got your book out, brother. Come on the show and talk about it, man. I love the work that you're doing. Love the work you're doing, Troy. Shout out to the brother. Working with some powerful brothers. We got to get ready and bump up out of here. My man Ron got some things to do. But Lincoln University's homecoming is tomorrow. Make sure you get on up for that. Bowie State University's homecoming is tomorrow. And for the class of 88, in my 88 people out there, 1988. That's right, 30 years ago. Annapolis High School's class reunion, November 30th, December 1st. So come on out. You know, it's a cheap ticket price. We're going to have a good time. Funk it up. Check it out on the 30th Class Reunion Chronicles because we want to hear all the things that we were doing crazy back then, and we are live to tell it. So this is Darius A. Stanton on A Peaceful Moment. I'm going to wrap it up with this as we go out with my mother's song, He's After You. So here's the peaceful moment. I want us to start breathing and taking in life as the energy and source so that we can attract positive energy and we can expel positive energy. I want us to start breathing and meditating and getting into ourselves. I want us to go deep, 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 deep on the inside and find the peace so that we don't have to have other people give us peace. We can't allow other people to take our peace, and we only promote peace. Because that peace that's within, that turmoil, that inner turmoil, is what has people killing ourselves. It was what has people abusing ourselves. It what has people abusing other people. It's what we're doing to other people and allowing people to do to us because of the dislike and disconnection to ourselves. We got to love ourselves first. So I'm asking you today to start meditating. Look it up on YouTube. Go buy a book. Go to the library and study. Find out how to meditate. How to go inside yourself and release all of those things that have been bothering you, that have been paining you, that have been hurting you. And then go get some mental health counseling while you're doing it. But when you do it, look out for people who understand, you know, the dynamics of your struggle. Don't just go to people because, you know, they have PhD or their counseling certificates. That's not enough. Do some research, some homework to make sure that these people have an understanding of your background and can treat you and deal with the things that you're dealing with. But go get mental health counseling. Go get mental health counseling. Bring that peace to yourself. We must have peace in ourselves first. That change must start with us. This is Darius A. Stanton and the Peace in the Morning Show with the Peaceful Moment on Funky Friday. Love you much. Have a good time. And remember, peace in the morning, baby.